What's going on, MSFers? Duelim here, back here with another video, and today we're going to be talking about Scarlet Witch Zombie. That's right, she's got crazy bedhead, and she's okay, I guess. She's a passive, and that's pretty much it. So for her tag, she's Villain, Global, Mystic, Bio, so she's dual tag, Support, Undying, and Epic, so you know what that means. Break out your wallet, folks, because she's going to be vaulted for a year. Her speed is at 115, which is not the best in the grand scheme of things, but when it comes to zombies, she's very fast. I think Zombie Iron Man's in like the low hundreds, and same thing with Hela. I think it's like 107 or 108. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I'm probably wrong. But let's get into the kit. We've got Neck, Hero, Bolt. Is the basic primary to adjacent targets. It just does some damage, applies heal block. It is unavoidable. It cannot be blocked on war offense, but it can never be counterattacked, which is pretty great. Then it does heal block for 2 turns, and then the T4 is if this character is not at full energy, apply bleed to primary target and call a random Iron Man zombie or Juggernaut zombie ally to attack the primary target. So that's not bad, actually. So after you've blown your load for your special and your ult, you could still put bleeds out there with the basics. So that's pretty cool. Not too bad at all. The T4 is kind of okay. I wouldn't say it's recommended. I'd say it's kind of luxury. But you'll see why you want a lot of the T4s on in a second once we get to the passive. For the special, Wretched Reality, so attack primary target for 80% damage, apply Disrupted and Bleed, so that's just to the primary target. And then you're also attacking all enemies for 80% damage. And then on War Offense, apply immunity to self and all Undying allies, which is pretty interesting. Also, again, cannot be counterattacked. And then on War Offense, attack is unavoidable and cannot be blocked. And then it's extra damage against enemies with bleed, 40% extra damage, apply an extra bleed, and then you're applying Safeguard to self and all allies for 2 turns. This is outside of war and not just Undying characters, which is pretty interesting. And then applying Disrupted for 2 turns, and then also applying immunity for 2 turns for the T4. Once again, I think this is a good T4. This one actually is not a terrible T4 because it keeps that immunity up for longer. So I actually kind of like this one, honestly. I think this one will be better to have. But again, we'll talk about the passive on why you want all the T4s, honestly. For Ultimate Chaos Unleashed, clear all barrier on all enemies. Not too bad. Attack all enemies for 100% piercing. Piercing is actually really good. That's a lot of damage, especially with the new stats. That's going to hit pretty hard. It also ignores defense up, so like a Kang, basic, or special. Once again, it cannot be counterattacked. Unavoidable and cannot be blocked on war offense. Flip 2 random positive effects, and then it's prolong, and then more piercing, and then more flipping, and then the T4, this one is an absolute no-brainer. Flip all positive effects on each enemy, then prolong the duration of all negative effects on each enemy. So you're flipping, then prolonging, so everything that they have on them is going to be used against them, which is pretty funny, actually. My first thought for this was Secret Defenders, because you have obviously the death proofs on Black Cat, and then you flip all that, you make those bleeds, so that's really, really nice. This is a really good T4, honestly. This one's kind of a no-brainer as well. Now, for the passive power of the Damned, characters killed by Scarlet Witch Zombie cannot be revived. On any turn, if this character does not have Exhausted, flip 2 bleed on self and all Undying allies. And then on turn, if an ally zombie Juggernaut has died and is currently not an ally, summon Juggernaut and apply Taunt to that summoned Juggernaut. This can only trigger once per match. And then on War Offense, summon Juggernaut zombie with 2 charges. So this essentially means that you have to have your own zombie Juggernaut. He has to have died, and then when Zombie Scarlet Witch takes a turn, she summons another Juggernaut, which is pretty interesting. So not too shabby there. On War Offense, if the character's health is greater than or equal to 50%, this character and all Undying allies cannot gain trauma. You'll see her passive is absolutely nuts. On spawn, barrier yourself for 30% of this character's max health. War Offense, on spawn, barrier. Again, new stats plus barrier on max health is going to be great. And then on War Offense, if this character's health is greater than or equal to 50%, enemy characters cannot fill speed bar for themselves or allies. And this is just enemy characters as well. So like if you have an APOC on your side, it's not going to act like Captain Britain Cosmic Crucible, where if you use APOC Captain Britain, then you have an issue of your APOC not getting turn meter. This is ridiculously good, and this makes you want to have a lot of stats on her, so she's always above that 50% health. So kind of like a Captain Britain mechanic, but only for the enemy. So this is kind of like Mark of Mephisto, where enemies can't be rewound, but this is not being able to fill. This is really interesting, but this is just in war, so that's kind of annoying. Now for this one, on turn, any turn, flip all bleed on self and undying allies, which again, not too shabby. Now we can get into the summon, and this is just like a normal zombie Juggernaut. The kit's the exact same, but you have to remember this summon zombie Juggernaut goes off of the stats from your zombie Scarlet Witch. So the bigger your Scarlet Witch, the bigger your summon zombie Juggernaut will be. Also, for the abilities here, these ability levels will mimic zombie Scarlet Witch. So whatever zombie Scarlet Witch T4s you have on will mimic the ones that zombie Juggernaut have. Now, the main ones you're going to want to have on are going to be the special for sure. The ult is nice because the drain is nice, and then the passive. The basic is kind of meh for the summon. It's just extra damage. But again, if he's got ridiculous stats because he's the summon from a new stat character, then it could be pretty interesting. And then obviously you get the resistance and all that stuff. So this could be interesting. I don't think zombie Scarlet Witch is going to do anything outside of war, honestly, because of this tag here. She's ridiculous in war. I don't think they're going to be worth it in Cosmic Crucible. There's obviously nowhere in Arena for zombie Scarlet Witch. I really don't think this team is all that unless you like war. Other than that, they're kind of eh. And when I say eh, I mean really eh. Now, as for the ISO 8 class, so you'll see here attack primary target, but this also attacks all enemies. This attacks all enemies, and then we obviously know, so we'll go to the Undying characters here. We obviously know Zombie Iron Man is a striker. Zombie Juggernaut is also a striker. Hela is a raider. So 2 and 2. We're going to make Zombie Scarlet Witch also a raider. Because you want those 2 and 2, so you got 2 strikers, 2 raiders, and obviously whoever you throw in as a 5th. Now, for Zombie Scarlet Witch, do I recommend coring her? Absolutely not. She's a war character. We don't like war around here. We're only about Cosmic Crucible. But in general, I would say build her. She's going to be an okay character, a good character in war, okay in Cosmic Crucible, probably not much use at all. So build her as high as you want for war. I'll probably end up taking her to G19 level 100 because I have resources. G19 is not a thing. But granted, she's epic. Maybe you can't core her. Who knows? But she's only a 45 shard unlock, so everybody should be able to unlock her, which is great. And then should be vaulted for a year, and then people will complain that they don't have a big zombie Scarlet Witch. But that's going to be it for this one. Until next time, this has been Dolem. Later, MSFers.